Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another installment in our Rockets Report series. I have been having a lot of fun reading these character descriptions, and today we will be doing quite a few of them because we have gotten to the point that we will be going through a lot of the main characters being introduced. If you remember, we introduced Nick Fury last time, or we went through that report, so we've got a bunch of characters to go through. And so we are going to list off a lot of these, and I actually think that we're going to go through the Green Goblin, because there's a lot of these descriptions to get through, and I'm interested to see what they have to say and what they have to offer. So let's jump in. Let's invite Rocket's voice into the studio here, and away we go.
America. Star-Lord claims that's where he was born. Not sure that fact makes it a place worth celebrating, but Captain America assures me that his fancy stars and stripes stand for an idea way bigger than Quill could ever understand. And I can't really fault him for that. To get through a battle like the one headed our way, it'll help to have faith in something. While Cap looks to his country for inspiration, the heroes he brought along for the ride seem to be looking to him. That says plenty about the guy. Almost makes me want to salute. Earth must have pretty low standards. Case in point, Iron Man. This guy is half as smart as me and only about a third as good looking. Yet somehow he's a billionaire on this planet, and I'm the one scouring the spaceways for bounties to make ends meet. It just ain't fair. But when you live on a backwards world like his, I guess building a suit of high-tech armor makes you the belle of the ball. Even if that suit only has one functioning ionic flux drive and an outdated plasma distribution core. Sure, Stark, that's some real genius. The Hulk was born here on Earth, but his name is known and feared across the entire cosmos. Anyone who survived the arenas of Sakaar will tell you stories about this green Goliath that'll make your tail twitch in terror. They say Hulk is fueled by raw anger and steered by his basest of emotions, but we're gonna need to do whatever it takes to keep this monster under control if we want any hope taking on Thanos and winning. So for once, I'd be on my best behavior, cause I don't think I'd like the Hulk when he's angry. They call Thor the God of Thunder. Look, I'm not sure if the God part is true or not, but what I am sure of is that he's about as mighty as they come. Thor's got this hammer, whose name I couldn't spell if you told me, that channels lightning and helps him fly. And it also hits things because, it's a hammer. If we're lucky, one of the things it'll hit is Thanos' ugly purple face. I mean, we're going up against the universe's biggest threats. Might as well bring the guy who fights actual giants, right? Gamora may be the deadliest woman in the galaxy, but when it comes to Earth, the Black Widow has that title locked down. She's got an impressive arsenal, but doesn't need fancy tricks to take down the bad guys. Instead, she relies on smarts, stealth, speed, and swift kicks to the head. But it's Widow's training as a spy that'll really come in handy as we try to track down the missing Infinity Stones. She's infiltrated the darkest corners of this planet, and she might be the only one who can show us how to get out of them alive. Clearly, I've got a thing for flying. I am one of the best starship pilots in this quadrant, after all. But Falcon takes his love of open skies to whole new levels. Those wings of his can outmaneuver any aircraft, and they're strong enough to act as shields, too. Falcon can also communicate with birds, a power that might seem fairly useless in our current predicament. But have you seen how infested Earth cities are with pigeons? Falcon's got an avian spy network monitoring every corner. If the Infinity Stones are out there, his feathered friends will find them. You spend enough time in deep space, you learn to appreciate the chaotic nature of the universe. And no one does chaos quite like the Scarlet Witch. Her natural abilities allow her to cast hexes, little bursts of pure mayhem with particularly nasty effects on their targets. She's also well versed in the mystical arts, capable of holding her own against guys like Doctor Strange. I'm told Wanda is a bit chaotic in the head as well, but I ain't one to judge. All I care about is that her red chaos may be the perfect balance to the Black Order. Wolverine and I have got a lot in common. We both were born with sharp claws, thick coats of hair, and extremely bad attitudes. But while I've become universally adored, my pal Logan here is still hated and feared by the people of his world. Must have something to do with the fact that he's a mutant, what humans call someone born with an X gene that gives them superpowers. But Wolverine doesn't care about any of that nonsense as long as he's got a bad guy to sink those metal claws into. And I know the perfect purple target. Princesses and me, we don't usually get along too well. They tend to be a bit too high maintenance for a guy like me who is, shall we say, a bit rough around the edges. But Crystal, she's a different kind of princess altogether. She may come from the high and mighty Inhuman royal family, but she's always willing to join the fight and get her hands dirty. Which is probably good, since her powers let her control the elements. Her king and queen may be off ruling their kingdom on the moon, but this princess is literally as down to earth as they come. When it comes to half-human space heroes, Star-Lord managed to set the bar pretty low. Even if he hadn't, though, Captain Marvel would have found a way to soar right over it. She's one of the few Earthborn warriors to make a real name for herself beyond her home planet. Probably helps that her half-Kree physiology is designed to soar the spaceways and her body is a photonic battery with nearly unlimited charge. Carol's military background means she tends to take charge of every mission. But it's kinda nice to take orders from someone who knows what they're doing for once. This universe has plenty of ways to travel from one end of the galaxy to the other in a split second. Rainbow bridges, pan-dimensional warships, infinity stones, you name it. So a teleporting dog ain't exactly my first choice. No offense to Lockjaw here. I'm sure he's a good boy who earns his treats, but a first-class travel experience ain't one that ends with me being soaked in gallons of slobber. Still, if this oversized mutt can fetch us back up during our battles, maybe he deserves a good scratch behind the ears. You know, that does sound kinda nice. Even on an island filled to the brim with superpowered criminals, some baddies stand out among the others. I'm talking about the real heavy hitters, the guys with powers so intense and attitudes so nasty that they've got no hope of early release. When things kick into crisis mode, that's when jerks like Electro make their move. Thanks to the powerful electricity this guy shoots out of his fingertips, I'm gonna smell like burnt fur for weeks. We drained his batteries good though, so hopefully Electro will need to recharge a long time before he shows his ugly, sparking face again. Klyntar Symbiotes are some of the creepiest life forms in the whole darn galaxy. They may look like puddles of living goo, but they're actually highly intelligent alien parasites that attach themselves to other organic beings, creating a powerful bond. Our pal Venom here is the result of one of those bonds. In this case, between a Klyntar symbiote and a human host. Venom swears he's one of the good guys, using his gruesome powers to protect innocents from harm. But based on the high security cell we found him locked up in, I'm guessing his definition of good is probably subjective. We may have first run into Luke Cage deep in the heart of the Raft, but from moment one, it was pretty clear whose side this bulletproof brawler was on. Turns out, we've got a lot in common, me and him. Like yours truly, Luke's been wrongly imprisoned before, yet he's still proven that he's one of the good guys time and again. I hear he even used to save the world on a strictly for-hire basis. Even though we both play hero for free these days, if Cage ever started a new business venture, I'd definitely consider signing on. You know why I hate Earth so much? Because it's the kind of planet that looks at a hero as obnoxious as Spider-Man and decides that just one of him ain't enough. To be fair, I kinda like this new kid. He's got all the same powers as the other Spidey, even a few new ones for good measure, but he doesn't grate on my nerves nearly as much. Sure, he may not have the same level of experience as the original Wallcrawler, but I have a feeling today's gonna add a few extra miles onto all of us. Didn't know much about Miss Marvel before today, but apparently she knew plenty about me. I mean, I'm aware I've got a reputation around these parts of the universe, but I had no idea some teenage Earth girl was writing stories about me on her fan page. With so many bad guys looking to tear us down, it's nice to have such an enthusiastic supporter on our side. Also, it doesn't hurt that she's an inhuman megamorph, able to change her size and shape at will. Winning won't be easy, but having this kid on our side embiggens our chances. If you thought Earth already had a too few many spider people, you and me are on the same page. But I guess the multiverse disagrees. The way I hear it, there are folks with spider powers in almost every alternative dimension across reality for some reason. An entire Spider-Verse, if you will. Whichever world ended up with Spider-Gwen hit the lotto. Gwen's got all the same powers and responsibilities of our Spidey, but with a cooler costume and a punk rock attitude. My kind of gal. Good thing today was the day she swung over to our Earth for a visit. There are lots of things in this universe I don't believe, including just about every story Star-Lord ever told us about his legendary exploits. But I've always been fairly confident that I could believe my own eyes. Or at least I was before I came across Mysterio. This guy really knows how to mess with your head, creating elaborate illusions that leave you questioning what's real and what ain't. He went a bit too far when he tricked a bunch of innocent kids into attacking their fellow heroes, though. Maybe he can convince himself that we didn't break his shiny dome. There's nothing worse than someone who needs to constantly remind you that they're better than you. It's even worse when it comes to Dr. Octopus, because there's no way that weirdo is better than anyone. I have a feeling that both doctors and octopuses alike are totally embarrassed that this guy keeps using their names. When he claims his superiority to every living being, he can only be referring to the brain that he used to create those robotic arms of his. But neither his smarts nor his limbs could keep us from showing him just how inferior he really is. I've met my fair share of crazies over the years, but Green Goblin easily ranks up there with the most twisted of them. The guy who wears a rubber mask and hurls exploding pumpkins, but still somehow inspires genuine fear. That says something. Gobby masterminded the escape attempt at the Raft and took an obscene amount of glee in using his fellow villains as pawns in his grand scheme. Luckily, the same time stone that he tried to use to break us out of that joint ended up breaking his fragile mind instead. Visions of apocalyptic futures ain't for everyone. Built on an island off the coast of New York City, the Raft is Earth's ultimate maximum security prison. The place was designed to hold the worst superpowered criminals on the planet and is supposed to be escape-proof. But that hasn't stopped its inmates from constantly trying to prove that claim wrong. When we accidentally ported to a cell block with a couple of Infinity Stones, some of the prisoners saw that as a perfect opportunity to make their break. But the Guardians of the Galaxy put those punks back in their cells for good, and some of the other heroes helped too. After we arrived on Earth, we realized pretty quickly that the other Infinity Stones had come along for the ride. It was up to us to gather them before the Black Order could. The first one we found was the Time Stone, which lets its master bend time, speeding it up, slowing it down, or even traveling backwards and forwards through it. It can also reveal visions of the future, which apparently bent the Goblin's fragile mind until it broke.
Whew, that was a lot of different segments to get through. But those character introductions are some of my favorite parts about these reports from Rocket, especially since we get to hear his thought process for some of the intricacies and unique qualities that a lot of these heroes that he has very little familiarity with really are. But that's going to be it for me today. Again, if you're enjoying these, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know which synopsis was your favorite, and be sure to drop a like while you're down there as well. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, and have a fantastic rest of your day.